Good morning, students of class 9. Welcome back to the online classes now. Let's continue our lesson in geography. We are learning the lesson climate. And in this lesson we have already learned in our previous class factors affecting India's climate. There are various factors that affect the climate of our country. And in this factor affecting India's climate, we have learned about altitude, we have learned about latitudes and altitude. Now today we'll learn about pressure and winds. So we'll talk about pressure and wind that govern the climate and weather of our country. The climate and associated weather. The climate and related weather conditions. Climate and weather conditions in India are governed by the following atmospheric conditions. The atmospheric condition of our country. Various atmospheric conditions. What are they? So number one, pressure and surface wind, air pressure and surface wind, the wind that blows. Number two, upper air circulations. And the third one is western disturbance and tropical cyclone. Western cyclonic disturbance. In our country, we face two types of cyclones, western disturbance and tropical cyclones. We'll talk about that later. First we'll talk about pressure and surface wind. There are three atmospheric conditions: pressure and surface wind, upper air circulation, the western cyclonic disturbance and tropical cyclone. So now first we'll talk about this, number A, pressure and surface wind. We'll talk about that. India lies in the region of northeasterly winds. In our country, the wind blows from north, this side is north, easterly, east, northeast, this side. Why it is? So you can see that. Before going through this northeasterly wind, we know that the earth does not receive equal amount of heat and light. Heat especially. The equatorial belt, they receive direct sunlight and it is extremely hot. The middle portion, equatorial belt, is very hot and naturally there is low pressure. The hot air rises up in the sky, that their low pressure is created. To fill that low pressure, the wind from the north, it blows towards the equator. That is called northeasterly winds. Actually it flows straight, but due to the rotation of the earth, the wind gets deflected. The same thing we have. India lies in the region of northeasterly winds. These winds blow from interior of the land. These winds originate from the subtropical. Tropical is equatorial belt, subtropical above equatorial belt. Subtropical high pressure belt. High pressure means the cold region. Cold region. The temperature and pressure is related. When the temperature is high, the pressure is low. Why? Because when the temperature is high, the air rises up and the low pressure is created. When the temperature is low, the air becomes very dense and the high pressure is created. So you can see that. These winds originate from the subtropical high pressure, that is cold region belt, and they blow south. They blow south towards the equator. They blow towards the equator. Towards the equator. Because the equator, they have low pressure. It experiences low pressure. So naturally, from the colder region, that is high pressure, the wind blows towards the low pressure, that is equatorial side. These winds get deflected. Actually, they blow straight towards the south, north-south. But due to the rotation of the earth, Coriolis force, these winds get deflected to the right due to the Coriolis force. Coriolis force means earth's rotational force. Due to the earth's rotational force, these winds will be deflected a little bit towards the west. Generally, these winds carry very little moisture. These winds carry very little moisture because they originate in the land, interior part of the land, high pressure bed. Generally, these winds carry very little moisture as they originate and blow over the land. These winds, they start from the land, not from the sea, and they blow over the land. That's why these winds carry very little moisture, or sometimes no moisture, dry. They originate and blow over the land. That's why they have very little moisture. So they bring very little rain, or sometimes no rain. They bring very little rain, or sometimes no rain. It is dry wind because they blow over the land, and the wind starts from the high pressure land areas, cold region. India should have been an arid land or a desert. India would have been turned into a desert. But it is not so. But India has not turned into a desert. Why? It is due to the Himalayas. Due to the Himalayas, India is saved. Because these winds from beyond the Himalayas, they blow. The Himalayas stop them from entering India. These winds were stopped by the Himalayas, and it will not allow these winds, dry winds, to enter India because of the Himalayas. Had there not been the Himalayas, India would have been turned into a desert. No rain, only dry wind used to blow, would blow. So it is due to Himalayas, they stop these winds from entering India and turn into a desert. So the Himalayas are there, they stop the cold wind, cold and dry wind, and the monsoon wind will cause rain all over India. That's why. So you can see that Himalayas is so important for India. If Himalayas were not there, suppose Himalayas were not there, then India would have been turned into a desert, because most of the desert lies in these subtropical areas. So you see that India is saved by the Himalayas due to Himalayas, because they stop the cold wind from entering India, cold and dry wind entering from India into India, and it will stop the monsoon winds and causes rain over here. If you go through beyond Himalayas, the Tibet is a very dry region, because it doesn't rain over there. Cold wind blows, but without any moisture, without any rain. So that's why Tibet is almost practically dry. Beyond Himalayas, towards the north, and towards the south of Himalayas, we have the plains, we have green agricultural field, we have forests and cities, and people are living over here, densely populated. Why? Because of Himalayas. So it serves a good purpose for us. So that is the importance of Himalayas, and we'll continue in our next class about the upper air circulation. Tomorrow we'll talk about this is pressure and surface. So now you know what is the meaning of Coriolis force. It is the rotational force of the earth. The wind gets deflected. So that's all for today. We'll meet in the next class and continue our lesson. Thank you for watching the video, and go through it every day. Don't miss a class. So that's all for today. Thank you very much.